All right.
What do you kind of see from Texas?
The interesting thing about Texas this year is they're a better three-point shooting team. But I think stylistically, they're the same. They're going to try to pick you up 94 feet. They're going to try to take you out of your stuff. They're going to deny all over the place. They're going to pressure the ball. They're going to try to create turnovers. And so, I still think they want paint touches, but they certainly are shooting the three with Gonzalez and Morris especially, but Holly's shooting it well this year, even though she's not high volume. So, they've got three players that can make threes now, and probably have a little bit more of an offensive focus because of that. They lost three really good defenders in Warren, Joanne Taylor, and Matharu. So, but I think Gonzalez a really good scorer, Morris a really good scorer. So little slightly different, but still a lot of the same.
With them coming off a loss, do you think that's going to make it like more of an intense game?
I don't know that they're – yes, I think in some ways, yes, of course. A wounded animal is always a little scary. At the same time, it's Baylor, Texas. I don't think one way or the other that it wasn't going to be a game that's got some edge and some intensity. And I think by nature of the in-state rivalry and the games last year, and I think it's always going to be intense. But I think when we're all fighting within one game of one another, I think. And it still being early, we're a third of the way. We're basically a third of the way through the conference season. So this is the meat right here. So every game matters.
Watching Bugs, we've said it to ourselves just watching the games. I'm sure you see it like on an everyday level, but it just seems like she's come so far. Yes.
Yeah, I think look. I've told her this. I've told Bella this. Freshmen are rarely on a plateau type graph. The freshman graphs usually go like this. And you might get a little of this, and then and I think sometimes it's because everything they see is a little different. Like I felt like Bugs was hiding in the first quarter. I went with some size to try to put some pressure on the rim because we were shooting too many threes, and I think, and I don't even know if she would say this, and I don't, but sometimes sitting is the best motivation. And when you sit for a quarter and a half, and then you get back out there to start the third, that's as good as she's been in terms of it started off with an easy one where she's just kind of cherry picking under the basket and we get it long to her, but then she played with pace and she cut better and she moved without the ball and I thought she started to see the game, and maybe she saw it because she saw what we were getting when she wasn't in the game. But I think that's part of the learning curve is you can drill it, you can talk about it, but that everybody plays their zone a little differently, and everybody plays their man a little differently. So there's just a learning curve with young players. Even at the end of the game, I had to tell us to slip. We got 2 layups when they went man at the end of the game, but they were going to switch every screen because of the nature of their lineup. And so Kate even told me, thanks for that layup at the end. I heard you yell slip as I was going to screen. And then we ran a slip play to get Asia, her layup. And so it just takes time. It takes time for them to understand what to do in each situations. And so, but I loved her response because she did sit there for a while. And I thought she was really good the second half.
Jamie bounced back from a tough game against West Virginia. When you think about her just importance to the team, how big is it when she has a really good, consistent scoring game like that?
Well, I don't know if anyone's ever looked at the stats, but she plays a lot of minutes for us. And so by nature of her playing a lot of minutes, she's certainly getting more shot volume than she was a year ago, but it's finding the right shots. It's turning down one to get a better one later. And I think at times, I think when she has her hands and her feet ready, and she gets to her finish, she's a great three-point shooter. I think when she rushes her shot, when she's worried about a closeout, when she drops her hands, can it go in? Yes. Do I think it's going in those situations? Not necessarily. And so I think it's about simplifying. But I thought she cut well. She started to play off the bounce a little more. I thought beginning to end, she was fantastic on Gregory. Gregory just got absolutely nothing on her. And I thought when Gregory scored, it was either when she was out of the game or we were mismatched in transition. But I thought she was phenomenal, and that's not an easy matchup. I mean, that's a size, strength, type situation, and so yeah, I mean, she's really important to us because I trust her. That's why she's out there so much, and so her minutes certainly matter.
What do you think has gone into Kate's growth and development as far as getting the boards? She's been really successful on the boards the past 5 games.
Position. I mean, she knows. I mean, she's not someone that's gonna out jump someone, but I think a lot of it can be relative to matchups, and we've been, by nature of this team and who we're playing, she's defending fives most of the time, so she's near to the rim. I think Kate is not as good a rebounder out of her area as some of our guys, and so, I think when she's near the rim, she's always going to check, she's always going to box. If she gives up an offensive rebound, it's maybe because of a physicality or a length situation, but not because she's not doing her job. And so I think that's a lot of it is she's been guarding people, and we're trying to keep her kind of near to the rim and have her be that quarterback back there in terms of telling everybody what to do and when to do it. And one of the things that was helpful for us, and it's not that she was effective when she was necessarily in the game against us, but Kansas State's starting five is really more of a swing 3-4 player, and so we were stretched out against them a little bit more. When she got in foul trouble and they brought in their more traditional fives, now we can protect. We could protect more easily when Gregory would go post up Jamie, and that's all Kate. That's Kate seeing it. It's playing the backside and then knowing that she's guarding someone without, kind of the ability to stretch us and have any range. And so that's always pretty helpful.
You've been here a year and a half now, season and a half, whatever. Have you gotten from Baylor fans how much they just like to beat the Longhorns at any sport?
Yeah, I just hope they come to the game, I think it's great to say you want to beat them, and this game's a big deal. And I think it's a big deal to everyone in that locker room, and everyone on this campus. And but, I think if you really want us to beat Texas, then we need you to be in the building cheering against Texas to get us there, because I think you're talking about two really good basketball teams, and the edge could go to the team with home court advantage, and we need that. And we're seeing across the board. Michigan's had back-to-back games where they've had 10,000 people in the building. You're seeing these huge crowds in women's basketball, and we need to continue to grow ours. We need it because it does matter, I mean, when we played at Iowa State for a conference championship last year, there were over 10,000 people in the building, and that's what this team deserves, and so I hope all those people that want to see us beat them want to see it in person, because we really need that type of atmosphere.
Nicki, the 28 assists and 29 baskets, what does that say about the way your team's playing?
Yeah, I mean, some of it was zone. I mean, that it's hard to just go one-on-one against the zone, but I do think that that's who we are. I think that's an extreme, obviously, and you're going to play teams. I can promise you the assist rate will not be the same against Texas because they force you into putting your head down and going against pressure and drawing fouls. And so we've got to get to the foul line a heck of a lot more than we did against Kansas State. But I think we're unselfish, and when we're playing good basketball, you're going to see that. I think our assist percentage needs to be somewhere between 50 and 65%, in a typical game. And so, it was just a lot of unselfishness. I mean, there were times when Caitlin could have taken 15-footers and she gave it up for layups. And that's a more high percentage shot. So I thought we played to high percentage shots by being unselfish and making the extra pass. And sometimes it was the extra to an attack to another extra. And that's when we're playing good basketball.
You mentioned the resiliency that Bug showed, coming back in that game. Is that kind of part of the personality of this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think as much as you can argue we're deep or not deep, or there are teams that play more players, but really not many. I look at box scores around the country after every game. I dissect box scores, and there are very, very, very few teams that play more than 7 people. When all is said and done, you might have a fringe player playing a few more minutes than that, or even in our own league. TCU is the only team in our league that plays a significant number of players. I mean, with Iowa State, there's 2 starting guards, and Ashley Jones are going all 40, unless there's foul trouble. Rory Harmon's going all 40. And so I think that we do have a little depth, and I do think at times we do need, I thought Bella came in and gave us a big lift in the first half, scoring around the rim and being more physical. I think I liked what Asia did when she was in, other than, physically deposit the ball in the basket. I mean, I thought when I put Erica and Asia in, we got the ball in the paint. We just didn't finish, and Asia's going to finish better as she, gets her conditioning back and her bounce back. Erica's just got to be under control in there. But I think we can go different ways in different situations, but we're certainly going to need Bugs. Like, it's not like she's a kid that she's struggling the first 5 minutes and I'm not going to go back to her, But I think this idea of having to figure it out and be better when you go back in, and that's not just her, that really isn't her. I mean, I've come with Katarina off the bench first in most games at the guard position, but I thought against zone that Jana was the better choice to give more extended minutes to. And even though she didn't make any shots, our opponents respect her ability to shoot it, which makes them run to her, which gets her to 4 assists because she throws the one more pass, and then Jamie hits a 3, or Sarah hits a 3, or we get the ball to a post in the short corner. And so there was a natural respect for her ability to shoot it, so the defense guards her. And so I don't think that's every game. I think those guys have to compete in practice for showing me that they deserve more consistent minutes on a game-by-game basis. But I do think that in this game in particular, I thought Jana's minutes were really good. I thought Bella's minutes in the first half were really good. And then you saw in the second half, I didn't want to take Caitlin out because she facilitated so darn well from the high post in the short corner that she made life easy for everybody else. But then Bugs is playing well, so you don't want to take her out, So then I put Bella in at the 3, and she played more minutes at the 3 and was less effective than she was in the first half, simply because it's really nice to be in that situation where if you just cut to the rim, when the ball goes into the high post, you're going to shoot a layup. And, but because she has better three-point ability, she's going to play there if she's in there with Bugs. And so, we have to continue to evolve with our bigger lineups and how to utilize them, and especially as we get more repetition for Asia.
With Asia, how's her progression going? Is it about on par to what you expected?
There is no expectations, and I think that's the challenge. That's the challenge as a staff. And that's the challenge for her, I mean, I actually was just talking to her in my office about this, I compared it to my golf game, y'all. So I said, I'd never played golf my entire life. I didn't want to screw up my softball swing. And I don't know if that's a thing, but in my mind it was when I was young. And so until I got done with basketball, I never had picked up a golf club, like in my life besides putt-putt. So, when I started playing, I took one lesson and just started playing with my mom, and we'd walk 18 holes or 8 holes or however many we wanted to. And, at first I was really satisfied with being someone who was really good at golf for someone who'd never played before, and then slowly and surely the competitive nature comes out when you've played long enough and you hit one shot well and then the next one you dub and then you hit it 40 yards, right, and then you pull it and you just can't ever figure out the darn game. And so, I'm like trying to explain to her, like right now I think she has grace with herself. This idea of I've never been injured before. I've never come back from an injury before. And I can't get overly frustrated with myself. But I just am trying to guard her against this idea of there will come a point in time where Asia's tired of not being Asia Blackwell that's the best player on the court when she steps out there. And hopefully we can get her there. But I think it's a day-by-day situation. I don't think there's any timeline to thinking, all right, by February, she's going to be really good for 20 minutes, but we got to be careful. We're just trying to protect her and, do it in an integration way that quite frankly isn't easy for her and isn't easy for me. Because I think if Asia gets repetition, the more repetition she gets, the more she's going to get better. But then, we're trying to protect long term, and so it's a tough situation, and I just want her to keep kind of giving herself the grace that she's gonna bring something to us. She is gonna bring something, but I don't know what it's gonna look like from game to game. And she may go in and give us a lift, and she may go in and miss 2 layups, and I'm like, okay, experiment over for now, and I don't like that for her, but we're not playing, the 320th ranked team in the net right now. We're fighting for a conference championship, and so I think she can help us, but we've got to see what that looks like practice to practice and game to game. And no one would be happier than her but me if we can get her back to, kind of even 80% of the player that she was in November before she got hurt.
I just want to talk a little bit about what you just did on campus, kind of
That's a little toasty.
about the Texas game on Sunday and how important it is for you guys to have student support and just overall community support for Baylor.
You want me to take this one?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, I'll take this one. So today we got to go on campus. Obviously, me and Jaden had done a little kind of dunk kind of contest going around on campus for a previous game during this year. We just got to kind of play a round of pig as well, kind of, we called it bear, with some students on campus, so that was really fun. We had me, Jaden, Jamie do that just for the upcoming game this Sunday. Super important, especially for students to come, especially I think obviously the men get a lot of students to come, but I think for us it's really fun to always see that. We had a good crowd when we just played Kansas State, and it was awesome just to hear the crowd. Every time we got a stop or any time that we needed some more energy, it was great having them there.
Hey, obviously Texas always tough. I mean, what do you kind of see from them?
I think they still have the same energy level defensive-wise. They're a lot like us. They want to go hard on the defensive end. I think they're a little bit different this year with the different kind of posts they have. I think they had a lot more size last year. I think they have a lot more athleticism coming into this year. And I think they just have a lot more shooters compared to last year. So kind of just switching gears and getting used to some of the new players that they have.
Jaden, after the slow start against Kansas State, it's kind of like a point of emphasis to get off to a fast start on Sunday?
I think so. Not even just specifically a fast start, or just having a start of where we're all locked in. We're all ready to go. We have high energy, and we're just feeding off of each other. So I think, the last game was a slow start, but this game just kind of feeding off of each other, getting excited, and just wanting to be out there and go crazy for our crowd.
Jen, you talked about UT's defense, the pressure. What does that require of you or Sarah, whoever's handling basketball?
Take care of that ball. It's really just not getting sped up, just playing at our pace. And that's really it. Like, it's really just making sure we take care of the ball, we don't get sped up, so just that way we can set our teammates up for easy buckets.
Dane, do you feel like y'all kind of got back to sort of Baylor basketball last game?
A little bit. I don't think we're fully back to what we're capable of being at. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's for everybody. That doesn't really come later until, the month of March, where you're really, playing your best game. I think we're taking baby steps, but we still have a few more steps to take.
Okay, you're coming off a game where you had a career high in assists. Was that something that was defensively Kansas State was doing, and how do you carry that over into this week?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time that we play zone, Coach Nicki knows very well that I'm very good in the middle of a zone. So that definitely was a game plan. I think we knew they've always played us in zone for the most part, unless we're up by a lot or things happen. But so we knew coming in that they were going to be in a zone, that she wanted me in the middle, and it just happened to work that way. People were getting open. Shooters were making shots. Bella, Asia, Dariana were all making great cuts. So just worked out that way.
You mentioned Bugs. Their coach felt like the rhythm between you and Bugs was really good. I mean, do you feel like that connection is there?
Yeah, I think we've gotten to play a ton, especially obviously with Asia having gotten hurt. I haven't even really gotten to play with her a ton, not even at full force especially. So I think just getting to play with them. I've gotten to play with Jaden, Jamie, Sarah. I know the way they play. So I think we've gotten into the mode where, okay, I know exactly what you like to do. I know you like this shot. I know where you're going to be at when I make this move, or just things like that. So I think that's kind of clicking at this point in time.
How much has she grown, Bugs? I mean, since the start of the season?
Oh, she's awesome. I think about off season, and I feel like when you come to college, you try to figure out your role a little bit, and you kind of almost limit yourself in a way, and you're almost trying to be someone you're not. And I think there was a point in time, Nicki said it one day and was just play how you play in high school. Literally just stop trying to change what you're doing, play exactly how you play, and you're going to be fine. And since then, it's been rolling for her.
You and Bugs both go up against centers who were taller or bigger in some cases. Is it fun to find ways to find other advantages that you have and take advantage of those? And what's that been like for you this year?
In my defense, I think I've always had to do that because I've never been bigger. I mean, even when Listen, Queen, Kalani, Lauren, never been bigger. I've always had to use kind of strength and IQ against other people, especially just because I don't have the same athleticism. I think for Bugs, it's quickness. It's just using what you have against those other players. She is a great first step. It's same me knowing, okay, I know this person's going to go left shoulder, when to take a charge, when not to, just things like that. So I think that's been great for us. I think we're still obviously figuring it out against different opponents, but it's definitely enjoyable.
Year in and year out, we always talk about how strong the Big 12 is on the men's side, but this year, do y'all feel like it's the most tough that y'all have seen so far on the women's side?
Why do you guys look at me?
I think this year it's just every night you play a team, you have to play your best game, and they're going to play their best game. You can't come out thinking oh, this is an easy win. As it's been in the past few years, oh, okay, we got this one. Every time you have to prepare this is the number one team in the Big 12. You know what I'm saying? It's been so up and down. So, yeah, the competition's very high. I will forever think that the Big 12 is probably the best conference.
I think, too, some teams have changed up a little bit and gotten transfers, things like that. We obviously have a pretty new team, but having been around for 5 years, I can tell you a lot of those teams have been around. You have Oklahoma that's stuck with a lot of the same people. Maybe they have a couple new pieces here and there, but a lot of those people have been here since I showed up. Yeah. Same with Iowa State. Same with some of these other teams. And so now you're kind of seeing all that age and all that IQ and just all that talent really coming together.
That, or it's just a team we've played earlier in the conference, we're this is a completely different team. So it's now different. The last scout you have from last year has nothing to do with this year's scout. So it's either the team that's been the same has increased and gotten better at playing with each other, or it's a brand new team that you have to prepare for.
Doesn't matter the sport, Baylor fans want to beat the Longhorns. Do you guys feel that energy? I mean, do you, when you are walking around campus and trying to get people, and you tell them it's the Longhorns, I mean, are they into that?
I think so. I feel that's the entire Big 12. I feel like it's just always been that way. I think we have had a few other kind of matchups that hit home for us too. I think Oklahoma's become a very relevant one for, like, personally us. Obviously, Baylor as a campus, it's a huge rivalry with UT, but for sure, like, there's some other teams where it's like we
Personal.
it's really like personal to us. So always fun coming out with that.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Razzle.
Razzle dazzle.